You wake up at 3 a.m. The room is black, the house is silent, and you are wide awake for no reason at all. You lie there, certain something is wrong with you. You reach for your phone and read that adults are supposed to sleep 8 hours straight. So you decide you're broken. For almost all of human history, you would have been the normal one. Waking in the dead of night wasn't a glitch. It was the plan. In the late 1990s, a historian named Roger Ekirch at Virginia Tech was reading through old English court records. He wasn't looking for anything about sleep, but the same two phrases kept showing up in depositions, diaries, and letters: first sleep and second sleep, not as a figure of speech, as a literal schedule. Over the next 16 years, Ekirch collected more than 500 references to it. They came from court records, medical books, plays, and prayer manuals across Europe. The pattern was always the same. People went to bed a few hours after dark, around 9. They slept for roughly 4 hours. That was first sleep. Then, near midnight, they woke up on their own. For 1 or 2 hours, they simply stayed awake in the dark. Then they went back down for second sleep until sunrise. Ekirch was a historian, so he could show that people wrote about this. He couldn't prove the body still did it. Someone else already had. In the early 1990s, a sleep scientist named Thomas Wehr ran an experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. He took a group of volunteers and put them in darkness for 14 hours every night. No lamps, no screens, no artificial light at all for a month. After a few weeks, their sleep split cleanly into 2 halves. They slept for 4 hours, woke for 1 or 2, then slept again. The exact pattern Ekirch had found in 300-year-old letters. During the gap, Wehr measured something strange in their blood. Their levels of prolactin, a calming hormone, stayed high the entire time they were awake. They weren't anxious or restless. They were resting calmly with their eyes open. Wehr described it as a state close to meditation. So picture the hour they woke into. It's past midnight in a stone house in the 1600s, and a man opens his eyes in total darkness. He sits up and lights a single candle from the last embers of the fire. He reaches for a small prayer book kept beside the bed. Across the room, his wife is already awake, doing the same. This was the watch. The hours between first and second sleep had a name, and they had a purpose. Religious manuals printed special prayers meant only for this time of night. One 16th century French doctor advised couples that this was the best hour to conceive a child. His reasoning was simple. After first sleep, people were rested, and they enjoyed it more. Some people stayed in bed and turned over the dreams they had just had while they were still fresh. Others got up entirely. They tended the fire, checked on the animals, or just sat and talked. Court records describe neighbors visiting each other at 2 in the morning. A woman in one English deposition mentioned leaving her house after first sleep to talk with a friend down the lane. Nobody treated this as strange, because it wasn't. The hour belonged to quiet things: prayer, sex, conversation, and the slow turning over of the day in your mind. Think about what that means. There was a built-in hour of calm wakefulness in every single night, and an entire culture knew exactly what to do with it. Chaucer mentions first sleep in the Canterbury Tales. So does Don Quixote. It was so ordinary that writers dropped it in the way we'd mention eating breakfast. Then the nights started filling up with light. First, it was oil street lamps in the big cities of the 1600s and 1700s. Then gas lighting spread through London and Paris in the early 1800s. Then, in 1879, Thomas Edison's bulb made cheap light something you kept inside your own home. Bedtime got later and later. The evening, once dead and dark, became something you could fill, and the night kept getting shorter from the front end. The gap was the first thing to go. If you go to bed at midnight instead of 9, there's no room left for a waking hour at 3. By the 1920s, the phrase first sleep had almost completely vanished from the English language. Within 2 or 3 generations, people forgot it had ever existed. And here's the strange part. Right around the same time, doctors started seeing a new complaint explode. People kept waking in the middle of the night and panicking about it. It got a clinical name: sleep maintenance insomnia. The oldest, most natural thing a sleeping human could do had been turned into a disorder. So tonight, if you wake at 3 a.m. in a black and silent room, consider another explanation. Maybe nothing is wrong with you. Maybe your body is just keeping a schedule older than the light bulb, waiting for a watch that no longer comes. The candle is gone. The prayers go unsaid. The neighbors are asleep behind their own dark windows. Whether those quiet hours were better than the 8 we chase now, the honest answer is we don't know.